usually isn't a question that your kid is going to come right out and ask you, what is sex work? It's a topic that gets rarely discussed with young teens, and the lack of acknowledgement of sex work and the lack of discussion around it is mainly due to the values and judgments associated with it. So why? Why would I encourage you to explain to your kids what is sex work and who is a sex worker? Because your kid is going to see sex workers in porn, in places where sex work and sex shops are legal. They're going to see references made to sex work from the advertising and entertainment industries. And because sex work has many values and moral judgments associated with it, there is a lack of health and safety protections for sex workers. And sex workers tend to experience higher rates of sexual harassment, violence, and assault than non-sex workers. But sex work isn't going anywhere. I'm Kathleen, and I make videos for parents on how to have the modern day sex talks. Even with the push to move all of us to live our lives in the metaverse, sex work is already there. So we need to talk to our kids about it. What is sex work? Why do people choose to be sex workers? Who buys sex? Is sex work legal? What are your family values around sex work? Let's define it. Sex work is defined as money or goods exchanged for consensual sexual services, and a sex worker is an adult who receives money or goods in exchange for consensual sexual services, activities, or performances. The term sex worker refers to an individual who works in the sex industry and includes, but is not limited to, strippers, pole and lap dancers, escorts, porn performers, phone, internet, and on-camera sex performers, as well as surrogate partners. Wait, you didn't include prostitutes. Yeah. Prostitution is an outdated term, but it will be a term your kid hears. Let them know that prostitution does fall under the umbrella of sex work, and the term prostitute is still used by some sex workers to identify themselves, but due to the name having been used in a derogatory tone over time, sex worker is the preferred terminology. Why do people choose the job or profession that they're in? The overwhelming majority of people choose any work, because they need an income. Many people try out different types of jobs over their lifetime and career. Some people want to find a job that is enjoyable. Some people want to find a job that's flexible. Some people want a job that still brings in an income but allows them to pursue their own interests and hobbies. Some sex workers start out in sex work because they're curious. Others want to explore their sexuality. Some others may want to feel sexually powerful and take charge of their sexuality, while others may just want to explore sex work and the spectrum of what that entails. Rarely is money the main reason why a person goes into sex work and stays in sex work. A sex worker may say that the money is great, but there's a lot about the sex work that they're enjoying besides the money, because after all, money isn't everything. Explaining who buys sex is as simple as saying, everybody. Let me explain. Buying porn, whether that's magazines, videos, or paying for a subscription to an OnlyFans account. Going to a strip club. Purchasing a person or exchanging goods with a person with the intent to have sex with them. This can be with a person who self-identifies as a prostitute or escort, or not. Individuals in therapy who need the services of a surrogate partner, and this includes individuals with disabilities. Some people buy sex on a regular basis. Others buy it sporadically. There will always be sex workers because there will always be people buying sex. Many folks hear the term sex work and think human sex trafficking, and sex trafficking is not what this video is about. A person who has been sex trafficked is not engaging in sex work on a consensual basis. Sex trafficking is illegal and a violation of human rights. As we've discussed in this video up to this point, sex work is performed by adults, where money or goods is exchanged for consensual sexual services. So is sex work legal? Well, that answer depends on where you live in the world. Some areas of the world, it's fully legal. Others, it's decriminalized. And in other parts, it's illegal. From a public health perspective, criminalizing sex work does more harm than good. Sex workers will underreport or not report at all if sexual assault occurs while working if it's illegal. Once you've explained and answered these questions about sex work to your kid, you're going to want to include your family values. So what are your family values around sex work? Here are 6 questions for you and your partner, if you're co-parenting, to answer honestly that will help you to establish your family values around sex work. Have you ever bought sex from a sex worker? By visiting a strip club, through purchasing porn magazines, videos, or online subscriptions, purchasing escort services, purchasing therapy or additional assistance due to a disability. Do you believe some sex work is more acceptable than others? If so, what's the hierarchy? What type of person goes into sex work? If your child decided to become a sex worker, what would be your gut reaction? How do you feel about this statement? Sex work is work. What does your religion or culture say about sex work? Answer those questions and establish your family values around sex work. And then, of course, share those values with your child after you've already explained and answered the previous 4 questions to them. If you're curious as to what would the values look like around sex work and how would you share them with your child, here's an example. Individuals who become sex workers tend to be treated negatively in our society due to their chosen profession. And in our family, we believe that sex work can have both positive and negative outcomes, just like any job. Where we live, some sex work is illegal and other sex work is legal. Therefore, in our family, we believe that all sex work should be legalized and sex workers can receive adequate compensation and work in a healthy and safe environment. Hopefully you found this video to be helpful on initiating a conversation about a topic that is rarely discussed with teens. And if you did, go on and give this video a like. I'm Kathleen and I'll be back next week with another video.